Okay, for the shorts, I'll use the brown fabric, and the top, I'm gonna use the black fabric. And then this next step is optional, but because I was using limited fabric of the brown shirt, I'm gonna be removing 2.5 inches from the top. And this is optional, but it will make the shorts lower rise, and you will have to do it to the front and the back of the shorts. And as you can see, I've already printed out the pattern from Mood, and I've already put it together and cut it out. So it comes with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and what that means is that we're able to put the pattern onto the fabric and cut directly. So here I am just pinning the paper to the fabric so that it doesn't move around. You can also do this with weights, but I just felt like pinning today. And so I've cut it out. And on the pattern piece, it says to cut 2 in the fabric. So what I'm doing is showing that, like, if the fabric was long enough to fold, then you fold it and it'll cut out the 2 pieces that you need. But I was working with limited fabric, so I'm just gonna turn the piece around and then cut my 3rd and 4th piece that way. Okay, so the instructions say to do a French seam, and it says to start in the middle. And so to do a French seam, you place the wrong sides together. So this is the wrong side, and then I will place together here, and then I'm gonna pin because this fabric is really stretchy. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, is because the instructions on Mood tell you to use a French seam, but they don't really tell you how. And so I just thought that this would be helpful for someone who wanted to follow the instructions exactly as they're written online. So to do a French seam, you're gonna wanna sew really close to the edge, either about 1/8 or 1/4. And since we have 1/2 inch seam allowance, you could sew 1/4 or a little bit less than that so that it doesn't peek through on the other side. Okay, so the next step for French seams is we sewed 1/4 inch here, wrong side facing together. Now we're going to turn it out so the right sides are facing together, and we're gonna pin along the edge. I already started doing it, but we're gonna pin here and then sew another 1/4 inch along. All right, so now is the moment of truth. Did we catch any of the raw edge, or is it a clean seam? We're gonna take out the pins and see how we did. This is the shorts from the outside, and it looks good. Okay, the next thing is we're gonna sew the back pieces together, but what I did for this one was I just trimmed a little bit along the edge, not much, but I wanted to make sure that none of the fabric was going to peek through once we turn it around. And here are both of the front and the back pieces done. I really tried to sew the second piece a little bit slower and kind of nudge it along so that there was less waving, because stretchy fabric has a tendency to make these types of waves. And yeah, I think there was a slight improvement, but I am still learning. So now we can attach these 2 pieces along the sides, and so you're just gonna pin both sides together. Okay, so we sewed the sides. We still have to flip it over and sew it again, but we have to do the inseam first. So this is connecting them at the bottom, and mine is a little off, but I think that's fine because this is going to be part of the hem, so I can just cut off the extra. And same process for the inseam. We're sewing about 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm gonna go ahead and trim the excess fabric to make sure we get that clean French seam. And then we're going to turn it around and also sew 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I went ahead and put them on even though I haven't added the elastic. I was just kind of like folding it to see where it would land on my hips, because then we measure that area of our hips to determine how much elastic we need to use. And the instructions on Mood say to use about 1 inch less than your measurement. And for me, my measurement was about 34 inches. But I'm also using this really thin elastic, so I think I'm going to use a little bit less than that. So instead of subtracting just 2 inches off of the measurement, I'm going to subtract 4 because I want to make sure that there is a tight enough grip to hold the pants up. All right, the next step in the instructions say to make a 1/2 inch casing for the elastic. And they don't tell you how to do that either. So the way that I'm doing it is I'm turning the shorts inside out, and then I am rolling in the raw edge about 1/4 of an inch to 1/3 of an inch, and I'm just going to iron that down. That way when I do fold it the 1/2 inch, it is a lot easier to stay in place when I sew. Okay, so this is what it looks like all pinned down, and then I'm just gonna sew along the bottom edge and leave a little bit of space so that I can put the elastic through. And the easiest way to add the elastic is to put a safety pin on one end, and then you're gonna find that hole that you left when you were sewing and just wiggle it all the way through. And then you're gonna sew both of the end pieces of elastic together. I was excited to try it on and see what it looked like, even though I didn't do the hem. But to do the hem, I just folded it up 1/4 of an inch because I didn't want to take too much away. They were already pretty short. But yeah, here's what it looks like done on the inside. All those nice clean French seams. I hope you found this video helpful. Follow me if you're interested in seeing a tutorial on the top as well.